Hello, this is another video in the series of videos I've shot over what I guess would be now the past 5 years, documenting the performance and wear of these Patagonia-Danner foot tractor sticky rubber wading boots. I've done in the past video and this one, I've done, to my knowledge, the only examples on posted online anywhere that I've noticed, comparing brand new versus used, or in this case, today's video, recrafted Patagonia-Danner wading boots. So that will be the subject of today's video, and is to give you an image, some video documentation of how the appearance of these boots after recrafting. And doing my best to compare them to a pair of almost new boots at this point. First off, I want to get to one point. This is a video that's going to have details. It's going to be long. So if you're a person who is not interested in hearing the details and just wants to be told to buy them and they're great, and you don't care about the details, this isn't going to be a very good video for you. There's 100 videos out there that will do that for you. My purpose of this video is to give you justification for my opinions of these boots and how well they're crafted, and that requires documentation of the details of their construction and performance, and that takes time, and I'm the person that's going to take some time to show you that and show you the proof that leads to the conclusions that I've come to. So what I will say off the top of my head, just to try to get to the punchline, is that I'm not disappointed. I'm still happy with these boots. I'm glad I've bought these boots. They're incredibly durable, and as you'll see in today's video, they're recraftable and can be restored to nearly, I wouldn't say nearly new, but effectively new condition, so that you can carry on wearing them for several more years at least, but the proof of that will be in the pudding from the next 4 years. Again, on the right hand side, again, this is, I believe, a unique video and unique comparison. On the right hand side, these are the recrafted boots. On the left hand side, these are a pair of, well, now they're a pair of boots that are in their first year. They are have 39 wading trips on them, 13 of which were half-day trips. I walked 152 miles in them, and I'll just briefly throw you a teaser. Those studs on the bottom there would be grip studs that have somewhere between 42 and 70 miles on them over the course of those trips. So that is a discussion of that is for another video to come. So far I like them, bottom line. So what I wanted to do today was to try to show you a few details of the recrafted boots, and how some slight differences between the recrafted and the factory boots, and give you my take on what I think of the recrafting. So let's dive in here. First, first thing I'd say is that, one other thing I wanted to mention is please read the written review with photographs of this recrafting process on the North American Fly Fishing Forum post that I've made, and I'll provide links to that here in the video and down below. There's more detail there, and you will have a better understanding of everything that's going on here by reading that post. To get back to the comparison here, so what I would tell you is that, so I got the, just to refresh here, I got the Supreme package, that's the top level package, and I had to do that because the liner was shot on my boots at the time of recrafting, at which point they were 4 years old, had 501 miles walked on them, 139 trips, 48 of which were half-day trips. So that's a lot of walking. Liner was worn out, needed recrafting with the highest level package in order to have a package that allowed for replacing the liner. But that they offer 3 different levels of package. You can go online and see all about that on the Danner website. Some of which varies from resoling all the way up to replacing virtually most everything on the boot, and as well as conditioning the leather. So that was the top level package cost $285 plus an extra $12 to ship them back to Danner. So that was pretty expensive, and would have bought me a brand new top of the line boot from any of the manufacturers out there today other than Patagonia-Danner. So that was tough to eat, especially when the price of recrafting jumped significantly in last year. I guess it was in Christmas 2022 compared to what it was prior to that at the time when I first bought these boots. So that changes the math dramatically in terms of the finances of doing the recrafting. But if environmental concerns are your high on your list of priorities, then this is a no-brainer to go through and do it and buy these boots. From what I can tell, the recrafting time that took 4 months, and that was due to parts that were back ordered, including the outsole. So I had submitted them for recrafting in early August, and they didn't come back until very late November. So it was technically almost 4 months. I don't think that's a typical turnaround time, but they also, in addition to the back order issue, November also, I was told November is their busy time of year, so that's something for you to keep in mind when you choose what date you're going to submit your boots for recrafting. One of the things you'll recall from my past reviews is that I was concerned one of the toe counters had been broken by the second year of these boots. Both toe counters were replaced, so I was very pleased by that. I asked Danner about that with a note I included when I sent the boots in, and basically, along with a couple of other things that were of concern to me that were damaged on the boots, and the recrafting person addressed all of those things that I had noted in my notes. So thank you, Danner, for that. And in fact, one other nice touch was that there actually was a note included with the recrafted boots, and it was signed by the person who recrafted them. So keep in mind there's a real person doing this, working behind the scenes to make these things happen. A real skilled person, and I thank that person for doing it and taking care of my boots. But I did pay you for it too. So we're even. I wanted to say something about the toe counters. Some people have asked about how the toes of these boots collapse over time. Yeah, they do, I guess. And I suppose comparing some of my new versus used boot videos, there is some collapse of the toes. I got to say, I wear wide toe box shoes. I've got I have some wide feet. I never noticed that to have an impact on the performance of the boot or how it felt or whether my foot could fit into it. So I didn't see that as a problem or a deterrent for me to buy the boots in the first place. And like I said, they replaced the toe counters anyway on Recrafting, so I'm satisfied. Heel counter. The heel counters were replaced as part of the Recrafting process, and I noticed that that the boots that sort of refreshed the how tall the boots are, straight and tall that they stand on the heels there. Prior to Recrafting, the heels were kind of crumpled down a little bit back here. It didn't affect the wear or performance of the boot to my notice, but it's a change that happened after Recrafting. It's something that they restored to bring them closer to factory condition. So thank you for that. That's nice. The sole, entire sole in my case, was replaced with the factory original factory type of rubber. The outsole, the midsole, and the shank were replaced on the boot, and so that was great. I wanted to bring to your attention, though, in this case, replacing the sole, one of the problems I talked about was from the outset of these boots was the stitching, and the welt in particular, and how many times you can recraft these boots when, in this case, you've got wear of this leather on the edge of the welt over time, because you need a minimum gap on this welt in order to be able to stitch it down onto the rest of your sole of the boot. And so as I've documented, this leather wears out over time as you're by abrasion against surfaces, and it happens mostly on the toe and the heel of the boot. And so hence there was a question for me of worrying about how many times you're going to be able to do that before you've run into problems with a change in the size of the boot and how the boot fits. Because either you reuse the original stitching holes, which, by the way, remarkably, on the left boot, the Recrafting person was able to do that for most of the boot. Really impressive craftsmanship to be able to do that. Sometimes they had to throw a stitch between the original stitches rather than using the actual stitch, and here you can see on the back end of the boot, I've measured that might be about a 1.5 millimeters wide welt at that point. So we're kind of on the back in one area of a boot that was worn down pretty well. We don't have a lot of welt left there to work with. We're gonna, next time they're recrafted, they may have to dig deeper into fresh leather here in order to stitch that down on the outsole, and hence that limits the lifetime of the boot. But in general, other than that, impressive job, I would say. I guess we cross that bridge when we come to it, and Patagonia and I have a conversation about what happens when Danner says we can't craft these anymore because the leather's worn out too much. In this case, this is an example where hopefully you can see that this is the original factory hole here, and the craftsperson had to stitch deeper into the fresh leather in order to have enough weld to stitch it down onto the sole. So this is a challenge that I pointed out at the outset of these boots. If they're going to be the last boots you ever buy, you can't recraft them forever. At least not with the level of wear that I have on my boots, and with the frequency with which that will have to happen for me. So we'll see, though, what happens over time. One thing that's interesting, so they come, when your boots are recrafted, they come with a new tag on them that indicates RCL in place of the model number on the tag, and that, I presume, is to indicate that the boots have been recrafted. The stitching inside, I'll try to zoom down there for you on that. The inside stitching of the upper to the sole looks pretty much pretty comparable to what I would see on the factory boot. So I'm not concerned about that. The stitching still looks good. I'll point out one difference that stands out here. So you'll see that for stitching the liner, you'll notice that there's double stitching there, right on the edge of this tongue here, the liner around the tongue area. There's double stitching all the way to about here. If my camera doesn't want to focus on it, well, but double stitch ends about where my thumb is, and there's single stitching from there all the way to the rest of this portion of the boot up to where I don't know the technical term for it, but up to here where up at the top of the, I don't know, maybe that's the gusset or whatever you'd call it. Okay, if you look at a factory boot, and it's easy to see because they use white thread, that's double stitched all the way up to here, right to the edge of that gusset or whatever it is. Will that matter in terms of the function of this boot? That we've only got double stitching to here, not all the way through here, all the way up to here? I don't know. Time's going to tell. But so far, it's a difference. It's a difference. We're talking here about comparing new versus recrafted versus a new boot, and that's a difference. So on the left boot here, one thing I wanted to point out is that I noted to Danner, it was right here, this spot here, and you'll see it in the 4-year review that I posted last year around this time, that there was a gash here, and that and hence was a point of weakness where, you know, the boot might develop problems over time. Maybe the eyelet could come loose. That's totally repaired. They used some kind of adhesive here or something. That's totally repaired. Excellent job. I can hardly tell that something was done there. It's just a minor blemish now. That's an excellent job. Thank you. The last point has to do with redressing of the leather, or reconditioning of the leather, I should say. So if you go back and compare and look at the before and after pictures, you'll see that there are some gashes on the boots. These here might represent some of them that are well, they were significant gashes. And what was done is that they were kind of buffed out to smooth them down, so you can't really see much of a blemish there now. So they did a great job of that. Again, trying to make them, bring them back to somewhat factory status. This was a real bad one here that they have buffed out to make look much better. Of course, these are full grain leather. They can handle that, some buffing and some chewing down on that leather. Of course, the more you chew on it, that affects the lifetime and thickness of the leather that you have here. So given their wading boots, they don't need to look perfect. We're interested in function, not appearance here. So that's kind of a double-edged sword as to how far you want to chase that down. I think they did a fine job of walking that tightrope. Trying to make them look good, but at the same time not overdoing it and grinding it down your leather unnecessarily. The one thing that was a bit of an initial sticking point for me was I was a little bit disappointed with. I mean, it's clear that they've used some leather conditioner on them, but it seems like an awfully light coat. They have a matte finish here. It just seems like they've used an awfully light coat of whatever they used. I hope they used Danner boot gel, which is waterproofing gel, but I really don't know. I didn't get any information about that. So I was frankly, I was a little disappointed with that. I kind of hoped that I would see a little bit more evidence of a healthy dose of conditioning product left on them, because if I have to put more on, it's on my dime. It's a product that I've purchased separately, but I haven't had them in the water yet, so we'll see how that goes. But from my experience, I think and based on advice I've received from a cobbler who is a Danner person and has repaired and uses Danner boots himself, I was advised that when applying boot conditioners, I should apply it until it's effectively saturating. I should let the leather dictate how much it wants, until it's not, and keep putting on layers until it's not absorbed immediately. So I don't get that. I never got that sense that level of conditioner was put on. Now, who am I to talk? This was applied by, you may say, this was applied by a Danner factory person. They ought to know what's best and appropriate, and it's fair to make that argument. But I've also say that I'm taking the advice of a professional cobbler who's also got a lot of experience too. And I can tell you that things. I anticipate that the waterproofing will wear off much faster on those than on these, which I have waterproofed myself. And so these are the second pair that I purchased, just for reference sake. And hopefully you can see they don't have a matte finish like this. It's a glossy finish. That's because I've put on multiple coats of boot conditioner. And my experience, the waterproofing on this will last a heck of a lot longer than when it looks like this. So, nevertheless, overall, I'm still, despite my initial concern about that point, I'm still glad I did the reconditioning. It cost a lot. It hurts. It does. Because I'm not rich. But So these boots are important, but I need something that I'm not going to wear out and destroy quickly. That's why I gave these boots a shot. And again, I come back to the point that I have 2 pairs of these boots. I can't, I think that argues for as strong as an endorsement as I could make, that if I thought they were crap boots, I wouldn't have bought a second pair. Even though they were on sale, I got a tremendous deal on them on a closeout sale. But it was I wouldn't have thrown extra money on this product if I didn't believe in it, and if it hadn't, beyond belief, if it hadn't proven that it performs well enough and it's durable enough to last me years, and so far I got to say they're holding up. So there are many questions to ask remain. As I said, how many more times they can be reconditioned, that remains, or recrafted, that remains an outstanding question, and I think it's an important one if you're going to say that these are the last wading boots you'll ever buy, and run with that slogan. I don't believe that's gonna happen. I also haven't had a chance to actually wear them yet. I wanted to keep them pristine in order to make this video for you, so that you could see exactly what they look like coming from the factory. And as I said, videos to come. I'll talk a little bit about it in the future, maybe next year, about the grip studs and how what I think of them. So far so good is as much as I can tell you at this point. So apologies that this video took a while to post. I got these back in November, but I had a family situation arise, and it's the first chance I've had opportunity I've had to make this video. So thanks to those of you who are maintained an interest in this project, and stay tuned. Next year there'll be another video to continue to document these boots. So thanks for watching.